There are probably many reasons why you're watching this video right now, but one thing's for sure. You're looking for a wireless microphone and you've already looked up wireless go-to from Rode, and that thing's just a bit too expensive for your budget. So you want something that's cheap but does not sacrifice on sound quality, and you've come to the right place. So today we're going to be reviewing the Boya XM6. This is a wireless microphone from Boya, and you're actually listening to it right now. I'm around 3 meters away from the camera. I'm recording directly on my Sony a7 IV, and this is what it would sound like in an open environment. This is a park, and there are a lot of cars passing by. There are leaf blowers running on the background. There are people talking behind the camera. And I'm not gonna be doing any post-processing, so you can hear what it sounds like as is, so you can decide for yourself if this is a microphone worth getting. We are back in the studio, and before we go any further, I just wanna do a quick disclaimer. Boya did provide the Boya XM6 to me for review, but they do not get to see the video before it goes live, and they do not have any control on what I say on this video. 100% of what I'm saying here is solely my opinion, and we can now go to the full review. Like I said earlier in this video, we are inside a studio, so this is gonna be a sound-treated room. This hasn't always been like this. Actually, this is the first video that's gonna go live with this background, this sound panels installed. So it just so happens that after putting this up, it was also the time that I was reviewing this microphone. So I think it's a win-win because we get to see this microphone's full capability on a sound-treated room. The transmitter and the receiver has the same dimension and design. In fact, if it wasn't for the TX and the RX symbol on the front, it would be really hard to tell which is which straight out at the bat. Overall, the build quality feels good and it does not feel cheap even though it's made of plastic. On the front is a glossy plastic that covers a small strip of single-colored AMOLED display. On the transmitter, you'll see the connection signal health, the audio gain level, the battery level, and that's it. On the receiver, you have a slightly bigger display for an added row of information. On the top, you can see your signal, your output mode, in this case is stereo, that's why it's on letter S, your output volume, the battery level indicator, and your A and B channel. Now, since this is set to stereo, you're gonna notice that A and B is not doing the same thing because it's recording two microphones on two separate channels. But on a mono setup, you're gonna be seeing A and B doing the exact same thing. On the top of the transmitter, you'll find your microphone and your line in for lavalier mics or other type of sources. And on the receiver, you will find your 3.5mm jack for monitoring audio and a line out that goes directly to your camera or audio recorder, which is what I'm doing right now to record this audio. Besides the display and the top part, everything on the receiver and the transmitter is basically similar. So on the left side, you have your USB Type-C for charging. On the right, you have your 3 buttons which are plush to the case. They are tactile as well. And they are really hard to press accidentally, which are good because you don't want to accidentally mute your microphone while you are recording. On the back, you have clips. So on the transmitter, if you're going to be planning to use a lavalier mic, you can clip this on your belt. Or if you're going to be using the microphone directly, you can just clip this directly to your shirt. The clips are also the exact same size of the hot shoe mount on top of your camera, so you can put the receiver there and have a clean, portable setup. There are also charging prongs on the bottom, but since this is the S2 variant, there are no charging case included. I did ask Boya and they said they are planning to sell the charging case separately, so if they ever do that, you can use your S2 with the charging case, no problem. Besides the transmitter and the receiver that you'll get, you also get a lot of accessories included out of the box. And yes, including this lovely pouch with the Boya logo that's not centered for some reason. So in the box, you'll get 2 lavalier microphones, which is awesome. So you can use it as a lavalier or a wireless lavalier setup straight out of the box, which is cool. You get 3 USB Type-C for charging, and you get a TRS to TRRS. This is mainly used for connecting the microphone receiver to your smartphone, and it also comes with a TRS to TRS, and that's what I'm using right now, connected to the camera to the receiver. And we also have a wind muff And I'm sure you've already noticed that I have installed the other one on the one that I'm using. But let's go ahead and take the other receiver, or sorry, the other transmitter that I have, and just show you how this is installed. So as you can see, there are prongs on the bottom and there are sockets on the microphone there. Just clip it like that, and there you go. You get a wind muff on your microphone, which is awesome. On the transmitter, you have your input option, which can be mic in or line in. You have your mic gain, which is already configurable on the home screen. You have your mute, which is enabled by default, but this can be turned off. You have your backlight, which is always on. This can be set to 10, 30, or 60 seconds to save battery life. By default, all transmitters are connected to their included receivers, but in case you're having problems or if it's not connecting, you can pair them on the connect menu. Language is set to English by default, but this can also be changed to Chinese. You have factory reset, and finally, the firmware version. On the receiver, you have your output option, which is by default set to mono, which is okay if you're using only one mic. When using two mics, I recommend changing this to stereo as I have here. So you have each microphone recorded on a separate channel. That makes it easier to work with in post. You also have your volume adjustment, which is already accessible on the home screen, and the rest is the same as the transmitter. The battery life on the XM6 is pretty decent. You can go up to 7 hours with the transmitter and up to 6.5 hours with the receiver. Now I do think that it's kind of weird that the transmitter and the receiver has two different battery lives, just because you're always going to be using them in tandem most of the time. But I think 6.5 hours in general is pretty decent for any workflows that you're going to be using this. So for this test, we're going to be doing two things. We're going to be testing the lavalier microphone setup, as you can see here. And I think this is looking really good. It's really stealth. And two, we're going to be testing the 100-meter claim of the Boya XM6. So right now, we are 3 meters away from the camera. I'm just going to keep walking away. And I have my lovely assistant behind the camera that's gonna yell or give me a sign if the signal is cutting. So I'm just going to walk further away from the camera. I'm just gonna keep talking. Okay, we are now at 50 meters. How do I sound? This is straight, looking straight at the camera, no obstacles whatsoever. I'm assuming if I turn my back right now. Okay, this is 100 meters away from the camera. If you can still hear me, that's all right, because this is straightforward, no obstacles whatsoever. But I think this is not a real world use scenario. Just because at around 50 meters, if I turn my back around, the signal gets choppy. We just did the 100-meter test, and there are two things we can take away from this. So one, 100 meters is not really practical or not a realistic test for this type of equipment, just because at around 50, 30 meters and you turn your body around, blocking the signal, you already get a choppy recording. So it's not really a practical test unless you just constantly look at the camera, look at the receiver straight ahead, no obstacles. Two, you're not gonna be putting your talent away from you, not even 50 meters away from you as much as possible. You're always gonna be at around 10 meters to 30 meters away from your talent. So in that case, I think the BY-XM6 does its job fairly well. So that's it for the 100-meter test and also the lavalier test I forgot to mention. And let's go back to the full review. Overall, I'm actually pretty impressed with the XM6 considering its starting price is only $100. You get a pretty decent battery life, you get good audio quality out of the box, controls are pretty simple, and it's really portable as well. There are two issues I would like to mention regarding the XM6 in this video, one being the size. Now personally, I don't mind the size, I think it's okay for what it is. But I do think some people might find it awkward having something this big hanging on their shirt. But if you're going to be using this as a wireless lavalier setup, this wouldn't be really an issue because you're going to be hiding this under your shirt or clipped inside your belt. Number two would be the receiver. Now, there is no issue regarding the receiver itself, but it would have been nice if they included an LED light that's flashing in front of you when the receiver is clipped on top of your camera. So, if you're looking for a budget wireless microphone for your setup, I highly recommend you check out the Boya BY-XM6 S1 or S2. If you're interested in these products, I will be leaving links down in the description, so do check those out. If you like this video, please hit like. If you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell as well. If you have any questions or suggestions, just leave them down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys on the next one.